Bang.
I ain't taking nothing but win.
What up, everybody? MoneyE here, back with another edition of the Unscripted Sports Show. Back with the MLB Power Rankings 15 with 19. A couple weeks away from September and a stretch run for these teams for the playoff race. Looking forward to the playoffs. It's going to be an interesting September, that's for sure. There's still a lot of teams that think they're in it, but I don't think they're in it. But I'll recap some of the series that they were in and who they played and who they beat in this Power Rankings 15. Because other series are not worth mentioning because they're not in the playoff race and nobody really cares about the non-playoff teams like the White Sox, Nationals, A's, all those Rockies, Marlins. Those series don't matter at this point. So let's get started. So number 15 this week is the Kansas City Royals, back in the top 15 in a couple weeks, but they're back in the playoff race. 5-1 this week. And the team that they replaced is the Texas Rangers. Not replaced, but replaced in the top 15. Rangers drop out of the top 15 from number 13. Kansas City. Because the Rangers went 2-4 this week. Last week, week 18. Kansas City they took 3 from Washington and they swept the White Sox. So they're back in the playoff race. They're only 3.5 games out from first place. First place. The Yankees, Red Sox, and Mariners are all tied up for the 3 wild cards. So Mariners, the Royals are 3.5 games out of the wild card spot, and that's a good place to be. 3.5 games with about a month and a half left, 6 weeks left. Yeah, we're about 6 weeks left in the season. So the Royals are right in the thick of things. Can they sneak in the playoffs? Sure they can. Detroit Tigers did last year. And the Royals beat the Detroit Tigers this year. Sure they can. Will they? We'll see. The Yankees are red hot right now. The Mariners are not hot, but they're not. They're on a road trip, so they lost 3 to the Mets. They lost to the Phillies tonight, but the games that played on Monday night don't count. I'm doing this Tuesday, so doing this a little late, but yeah. Speaking of those Mets, lost 2 out of 3 to the Braves, but took 2 out of 3 from the Mariners, including the Little League Classic that played on Sunday Night Baseball. Got it a hand to the Mets. They played well this weekend. They finally won a series, first time in like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. They won a series. Went 3-3 though, but that's why they stay at number 14. They're playing good ball right now. Let's see what they can do this week against the so the Mets have 2 easy series and they have a big huge series against the Phillies. I'll get to the Phillies a little later, but the Mets have the Nationals for 3 in DC, and then they play the Marlins at home. I want to say they play the Marlins at home. It could be Miami. No, they play the Braves. That's right. They play the Braves, not the Marlins. Sorry. But they play the Braves in Atlanta, and they play them. They have a 6-game road trip in DC and in Atlanta, and then they come back home for the Phillies. So the Mets have a huge series coming up against the Phillies next week. Next week, starting Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday in Queens. So we'll see what happens. I think it's in Queens. I want to say it's in New York. But yeah, it's in New York. And the Philly, well, I'll get to the Phillies later, but yeah, to the Mets. In the Phillies playing Mariners, but the Mets have to take both series in order to. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Braves last week, so the revenge series. Can they take 2 out of 3 from them? At least 2 out of 3 from them Nationals, because yeah, because being the Mariners is one thing. They're a good team. Mariners are a good thing, but if you can't beat the Nationals, then I mean, who am I talking about? The Phillies two out of split against the Nationals, but the Mets need to take at least sweep. I think they need to sweep. So if they can sweep the Nationals, take 2 out of 3 from Braves, and maybe be 3 games out by the time they play the Phillies, we have ourselves a race again. It's only 5 games, so it's still a race. I'm not conceding and saying the Phillies have it in the bag. No. No. There's no division that is safe right now. Houston is in the wild card. It's in the tight race. Detroit is sort of running away with it, sort of not. Cleveland is up and down. So I would say Detroit is probably the one that's the most locked. The Yankees and Blue Jays are in the fight. Yankees, Red Sox, and Blue Jays are in the fight for that division. 3 teams are fighting for the AL East. The NL West is all of a sudden wide open, but the Dodgers retake the lead because they swept the Padres. So once the Dodgers played the Padres, they took the lead back and then they proceeded to lose tonight to the Rockies. Go figure. But the Padres lost themselves, so it didn't really matter. Yes, so let's see. The number 15, as I said, Kansas City. Number 14, New York Mets. Coming at number 13, the Cleveland Guardians. Cleveland Guardians dropped 1 spot. They went 3-3. Or no, 2-4. Yeah, they went 2-4. They got swept by the Braves. And they won 12-3 from the Martins. That's right. The Cleveland from the Marlins get swept by the Braves. Go figure, right? That's baseball. As I said, Rockies beat the Dodgers today, and after the Dodgers swept the Padres. So that's number 12. Coming to number 11. No, number 12 is the New York Yankees. Cleveland was number 13. Sorry. Yankees went 5-1, swept the Cardinals this weekend, and took 2 out of 3 from the Twins. So all of a sudden, they're red hot. Won 5 out of 6. Went 5-1, as I said. They're actually playing good ball. They're not blowing games. The bullpen's actually being their bullpen. Um, they are leading the wild card, tied with the wild card with the Red Sox and Mariners, according to the MLB app. let's see. Hold on. And they're only 5 games out. See, they lost so much ground over the last week, 2 weeks to the Blue Jays that they're still 5 games out in first place. For the division races, the Phillies are up 5.5 games. They next to play. Brewers are 9. So the Brewers and Detroit are in control of their division. Detroit and Milwaukee's up 9. The Dodgers are up a game and a half after sweeping the Padres. Toronto's up 5 games. Detroit's up 8.5. But Detroit and Milwaukee are in control of their division, and that's fine because both the East divisions are 5 and 5.5 over the 2 New York teams. The Toronto and Philadelphia are leading by 5 and 5.5 over the 2 New York teams, and then Boston. And then Houston is up 1.5. So there's similarities in all the divisions. The East is the same, 5 and 5.5, and the second place team is both New York teams. Detroit and Milwaukee are leading 8 and 9, or 8.5 and 9 games over Cleveland, Chicago Cubs, and the Cleveland Guardians. So Detroit and Milwaukee are the 2 teams that are in control of the division. Toronto and Philadelphia are all up 5 for Toronto, 5.5 for Philadelphia over the 2 New York teams, the Yankees and Mets, because they both struggled the last 2 to 3 weeks that they've lost ground, and that's why they're 5.5 games out, both of them. They both struggled the last 2 weeks until this weekend, which they both won series. And then in the West, the 2 West divisions, both the Dodgers and Houston are both up 1.5 games after Seattle and San Diego both have struggled this weekend. Funny how all the same divisions, AL and NL East, AL, NL Central, and AL and NL West are the same. 1.5 for the West, not 8.5, 9 for the Central, 5.5 for the East. It's funny how that works, right? So the 2 Central teams are in control, and the East is right in the middle, 5.5, 5.5, like I said. And the 2 West divisions are the closest. Who would have thought the 2 West divisions would be the closest? And the East is in the middle, and the 2 Central divisions are the ones who are in control. I thought Houston Dodgers would be up the most, and the East would be the closest, and the Central would be right in the middle. What do I know? It's funny, and Milwaukee and Detroit are the 2 teams that are in control right now. Probably gonna be number 1 seed, and Houston Dodgers could be number 3. Houston Dodgers could be playing wild card, and then Philadelphia and Toronto could be having a bye. So funny how that works, right? That it's funny how baseball works that way. But continuing on, Cincinnati Reds come at number 11. Let me put in the New York Yankees there. No. Cincinnati is number 12. It's number 11. Rounding out the bottom 5. They went 3-3. Took 2 out of 3 from the Phillies, and lost 2 out of 3 this weekend to I forgot who they lost to. Doesn't matter. They lost 2 out of 3 to somebody. No, Milwaukee. That's right. They lost 2 out of 3 to Milwaukee. So can't really blame them. Now, number 10, Boston Red Sox. Also went 3-3. Lost 2 out of 3 to Astros, won 2 out of 3 from the Marlins. And they're in the wild card race. So, and that's why the wild card races are so close, because you got two divisions that are close, and then you got two divisions that are runaways. Somewhat close in the East. And it could get closer in September. So there's probably going to be 4 divisions that are going to come down to last 2 weeks. And, I expect Milwaukee and Detroit wrap their divisions up with 2 weeks left. And then the East, I expect that to get closer. Even though I'm a Phillies fan, I think that's going to be a division that's going to get closer. And the AL East is a 3-team race. That's the only 3-team race right now. The Braves are not coming back, and they're not. Cincinnati, no. Milwaukee's running away with that division, and then it's only San Diego. So the only division that is a 3-team race, the AL East, and that's Boston starts to fade, which they could. They are a young team. Speaking of the Cubs, number 9. They were winning that division in the first half of the season, and then they just went downhill after the All-Star break, and Milwaukee just went straight up, and they've taken that division over. Milwaukee Brewers have completely turned that NL Central upside down, because the Chicago Cubs were winning that division, and then it just flipped on its side. I had the Cubs number 1, number 2 for like between them and Detroit Tigers had number 1, number 2 for like 5 straight weeks or something. 4 or 5 straight weeks I had Chicago in the top 5, in top 2. Now all of a sudden it just flipped on their side, and Milwaukee is right back. Some weeks I didn't even have Milwaukee in the top 15. Milwaukee was in 3rd place in the first half of the season. Now they're almost 10 games out. 10 games up. That's how fast baseball can go. Milwaukee was in 3rd place at one point in the season. They were probably like 5-6 games out in 1st place. And all of a sudden they go on a winning streak. They've had like 2 10-game winning streaks. So while Chicago struggled, they've had 2 big winning streaks. So yeah, as I said, funny how baseball works that way. Coming number 8, the Seattle Mariners. Let me change that. Cubs. Took 2 out of 3 from the Pirates. Lost 2 out of 3 to the. They went 3-3. Lost 2 out of 3 to the Blue Jays. The Mariners went 3-3. Lost 2 out of 3 to the Mets. But they're in the they are in the wild card race with Yankees and Red Sox. And they beat They beat the Orioles. No, they lost 2 out of 3 to the Mariners. Never mind, they went 2-4. That's right. The Mariners are on a 9-game road trip out east. They went to Baltimore, and then New York, / Pennsylvania, because they moved to Williamsport, and then out Philadelphia. And I think that's it. 9-game road trip out east, and they've fallen back. Yep. And then they come back home against Athletics. They've been playing well on the road, and they come out east and they've lost 2 straight series. So let's see if they can salvage the series against Philadelphia. Hopefully not, but we'll see. And Seattle comes at number 8. 7. Team they flip flop with San Diego Padres, who went 3-3. They're the team that went 3-3. Swept get swept by the Dodgers. They swept the team. They got swept by the Dodgers. They were up 1.5 games going into the weekend, and then fought back 1.5 games. That's what half game, and then yeah, after they lost Friday, they were half game out. They lost Saturday, with 1.5 games. No, because they were up one, and then they were up half game going to Saturday, and then they lost, and then they were down half game, and then after Sunday, game last. They were 1.5 games out after going into the weekend, down 1.5 games after the weekend. What happened when you playing the Dodgers? Who did the Padres see? The Padres see someone. It's not the Giants, right? I make sure they did. Yep. They dominated the Padres too. The Giants. 4-1, 5-1, 11-1. They gave up 3 runs against the Giants. And then they got demolished by, not demolished, but they got swept by the Dodgers. Coming in at number 6, the Houston Astros. Another team that's struggling. They took pride in the Red Sox. And then they get swept. Then they lose pride from the Orioles. Go figure, right? And they lose today to the who did lose 2 out of 3? No, they lost today badly. Oh, Detroit Tigers lost 10-0 to the Tigers. So coming in at number 5, the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies lost 2 out of 3 to the Reds. They struggled this week. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Reds. Split against Washington. Went 6-4 on a 10-game road trip. They should have gone probably 7-3, but they didn't. They lost Zach Wheeler, not for the season, but they lost. We don't know yet, but they lost Zach Wheeler for a couple weeks. Hopefully, for a couple weeks. He had a blood clot near his right shoulder. He had surgery, I believe, yesterday, which is Monday, because we're doing this on Tuesday. Recording on Tuesday, so hopefully he'll be back. There's no word on when he's going to be back, but hopefully he'll be back. Let's hope Philly fans are praying that he's going to be back. He is the linchpin of that rotation, and we need him back. Not desperately, but we need him. He is that ace of that staff. Him and Sanchez are the ace of the staff. Sanchez is the ace right now. And Rangers had a good game last night. So that's a positive sign. Nola had a rough first start in 3 months. In 3 months? His last start was May, July, August. So about 2.5 months he hadn't started in. Almost 3 months. He started. He had a rough game. When he went 2 1/3, he got 6 runs against Washington. Didn't see the game. Giving up 6 runs to the Washington Nationals. Ooh, let's hope that's just rustiness. And Nolan comes back on, I believe, Friday, where he's going to play the Nationals again. So hopefully he's back in form. Yeah, so the Phillies had a rough week. But if a lot of these teams have had up and down this year. That's the way this season's been going. The most consistent team I've been saying all season has been Detroit. Until after the All-Star break. No. I think it was they had a rough patch after the All-Star break, and then now they've come back around. So after the All-Star break, they had their little rough patch, but every team hits the wall during the season. So and the Phillies hit the wall at the time. And this week they went. This week they went 2 and no 3-4. They play it every day. They play it every day. I think since last year. Their first day off is on Thursday because they played 7 days last week. And I think their last day off was again before the Texas game. So they've been playing every game since they had 10 straight days, 10 straight games on the road. There was no day off in between in the road trip. So they had 10 straight games, and then they'll be playing 13 straight games before their next day off, and then they're off on a Tuesday because they play Memorial Day. So 1, 2, 3, 11. So they play 11 straight games after they had played 13 straight games. So they played 24 games in 25 days over the last from August until and then they play and they don't have a day off until the third third Thursday of September. They don't have a day off, and then they only have 1, 2, 3, 4. They only have 4 more days off. So this Thursday, the day after Memorial Day, third Thursday in September, and then the fourth Monday in September. They only have 3 days off in September. Crazy. And they only have 2 days off in August. They had a lot of days off in obviously July and also 3 days off in June, 3 in May. I mean, they don't have a lot of days off. It seems like so they would play after the third they would play they played 11 straight games. I think. They have 2 more games, they 13 straight games unless there's rain out. Um, and then after Thursday, they play 11 straight games until the day after Memorial Day. If they have a rare Tuesday off, and a lot of teams have Tuesday off with Memorial Day. But they have a rare Tuesday off, and the teams that don't play on Memorial Day start the Tuesday. Instead of 4 game series, they have Memorial Day, and then they have off on Tuesday, and then they play Wednesday, Thursday. So, and then after what would be September 1st? No, September 1st is Memorial Day. So it's not the second Monday. Sometimes it's the second Monday because it's the first Monday. It's not on September. It's weird. So anyway, the first Monday in September is always Memorial Day, and or yeah, the first Monday in September is always Memorial Day, and September 1st it happens to be September 1st, and then September 2nd the Phillies have a day off, and then they don't have a day off for until September 18th. They play from Thursday. They play 15 straight games. 15 straight games. They play 13 straight games. Day off. 11 straight games. Day off. 15 straight games. And then day off. And then they conclude the season. So, yeah, so they have Milwaukee, Miami. They finish the series with Milwaukee and Miami. The Mets for 4 games, huge series. Kansas City, and then they go on the West Coast for Dodgers and Arizona. They come back to Miami and Minnesota. So they have a day off in between the Dodgers and Arizona. Usually do have that. But they have a huge series. The Mets, 4 games against the Mets, and then 3 against the Dodgers. Which they could have. There could be a rain out in that. So back to this. Um, yeah, I've talked for 30 minutes. Goodness, 30 minutes, but Dodgers come at number 4, dropped from 2 spots to number 4. They went, even though they swept the Padres, they lost 3 to somebody, or because they went 3-3. So I dropped them 2 spots because of the other 2 teams ahead of them. Who did they lose to? Dodgers lost 3 to the. They lose to. Oh, and they got swept by the Angels. They got swept by the Angels. They're 0-6 against the Angels this year, and then they proceed to beat the Padres, and then they lose to the Rockies. So the Dodgers are up and down too. As I said, a lot of the contenders are up and down this year. They lose the teams that they're not supposed to, and they beat the teams. The Phillies are beating the teams they're not. They're beating the teams. They're leaving the teams that they're not supposed to, and they're beating the teams that are on their level. So, go figure, right? The Dodgers, Phillies, and Actors are doing that. And the Mets are losing to the teams that they're not supposed to. Because they're playing down to them. These contenders are playing down to the lesser teams, and they're getting up for the teams that are in the playoff race. Like Dodgers got up for the Padres and swept them. The Phillies got up for the Mariners today and they won 12-7. The Mets took priority for the Mariners. The Astros took priority for the Red Sox, and then they proceeded to lose priority for the Orioles because the Orioles in last place they played down to them. So all these contenders are playing down to their opponents, and they're losing to the teams that they're not they should be beating. And the Dodgers lost to the Angels. Their own 6 against the Angels. 1-6. 1-6 against the Angels. Coming at number 3, the Detroit Tigers are back at number 3. After they were at number 3 2 weeks ago, and then they went to 7, and then now they're back at 3. No, they went to 6. They were at 3, went to 6. No, went to 7, now they're back at 3. Right? I have that right. Detroit Tigers. We're at number 6. And then, yeah, so they went from number 3 to number 6 to back to number 3. They're back at number 3. Detroit Tigers back at number 3, 5-2 this week. Had a good week. They swept. No, they lost. They won 12 from the White Sox. And then they beat the Twins. Right? No, they took 12 from the Twins and took 12 from the or 3 out of 4 for the they went 3-1 against the Twins, 2-1 against the White Sox. They come in number 3. Number 2, the Toronto Blue Jays. Even though they've been struggling a little bit, they still had a fairly good week. They beat the Congratulations Cubs. They went 4-2. Yeah, had a bad weekend, but they still took a playoff contender in the Cubs. And then they lost to. Then they beat the Rangers. They took classes in the Rangers. They took classes in the Rangers. Took classes in the Cubs. So they took classes in 2 teams that are in the playoff race. So that's why they deserve to be number 2. Number 1 baseball right now, coming off a 14-game winning streak, not by on Sunday in 10 innings. So they didn't get killed. They didn't lose convincingly. They lost in 10 innings. So the rest, then they won today against the Cubs. That was supposed to be a doubleheader, but the second game got rained out. Today's doubleheader. So, yeah, today, Tuesday, is a doubleheader. So let's see what happens. But that's it. Milwaukee's number 1. The Texas drops out. Milwaukee's number 1 again. So number 1, Milwaukee. Number 2, Toronto. Number 3, Tigers. 4, Dodgers. 5 are the Phillies. 6 is the Astros. 7 are the Padres. 8 is the Mariners. 9 is the Cubs. 10 is the Red Sox. 11 is the Reds. 12 is the Yankees. 13 is the Guardians. 14 is the Mets. And the newly in the top 15, Kansas City is back in the top 15 for the first time in, I think, week. Maybe for the All-Star break. Anything that one? Oh, okay. Lucky that one. Really that one. Yeah, dropped out at the top 15. They were in top 15 in week 8. Last time I put them in top 15. So it's been since week 8 or 11. Is that right in it? I didn't think it was that one. Week 8? Wow. Mm-hmm. For 11 weeks, and you have it. It's the first time in 11 weeks they're back in the top 15. Mm. Wow. So, congratulations, Kansas City. You're back in top 15 for the first time in 11 weeks. And realize it's been that long. But yeah, Walker's number 1. Stay at number 1. They're the best team in baseball. No doubt. Um, so, subscribe, like, hit the like button. Hit the like button this Friday night. I won't be on, but Cliff, I think, will be back. Doug and Daniel will be on. I mean, they'll be doing the show. I think Cliff will be back. They'll be doing a retrospective on the Iron Sheik. Um, I won't be doing any shows this weekend. My birthday, so I'm taking the weekend off this weekend. Um, but check Daniel and Doug and possibly Kenneth as they do Korean retrospective on Iron Sheik this Friday night at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com/Lesson Through the Years. Saturday, I also won't be doing the show, but Doug will be judging and host, obviously being the host. So he'll be the judge this week. This week for episode 3 for the animated hour. Okay. Um, animated hour of power. Let's see. Episode 3. Animated hour of power is Dora the Explorer versus Adventures of the Gummy Bears. Teen Titans versus Alf, the animated series. Cowboy Briscoe versus Jackie Chan. Heathcliff versus Scooby Doo. Where are you? The show animated showdown episode 3. Garfield and Friends versus Mummy's Alive. Danny Phantom versus One Piece. Hawk versus Police Academy. That should be a good one. And then the main event for is Naruto versus Simpson. So check that out. And check out Visual 99, Daniel's gaming channel. Fabcast on Sundays. And I'll be back for the college football on Wednesday and the Premier League picks on Thursday. So, for MoneyE, I'm out. Later.